All right, back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing yet another beer from Rogue Ales, and they're headquartered in Newport, Oregon, and this is their Rolling Thunder, the 2023 release. So this is an Imperial Stout that is brewed with cacao nibs, brown sugar, and dark Belgian sugar. It comes in at 13.7% alcohol by volume, 41 IBUs at the time of review. I don't know exactly how old this can is because it does not have a can-on date, but on Instagram, it does seem like this beer was released in late February of this year. And considering we are now in late May, when I'm reviewing this one, this beer is approximately, I think, 3 months old. So I've been wanting to try this one for numerous years. I have not seen this beer show up here in the Buffalo, New York area. Now, it could have shown up and I just didn't see it when I was beer shopping, but I saw it show up recently and I was like, I'm grabbing this one because I wanted to try it, like I said, for many years now. It has a little, they have a little spiel, not it, but I guess the can does. Anyway, little spiel in the back here. It says, our 2023 Rolling Thunder Imperial Stout was aged for 9 months in handmade Rolling Thunder Barrel Works barrels previously used to age our Dead Guy whiskey. This one-of-a-kind Imperial Stout can be enjoyed right away or cellared for years. Either way, it's best shared among friends. And then they talk about Rolling Thunder Barrel Works, which we won't talk about. But yeah, so this was aged for 9 months. Pretty awesome. Anyway, let's crack this one open, get into the glass, and see what we got going on here. I'm hoping it's delicious. I'm kind of in the mood for a barrel-aged stout of some sort. And oh, that does not look that thick. Pouring out, this kind of looks, honestly, like cola or something. I'm going to pour the entire thing in because I am going to drink this entire thing, assuming I enjoy it today. But yeah, that had like a dark brown kind of pour to it, like a cola or a root beer or something. Definitely didn't look all that thick and viscous. So in the glass, even now on camera, it's 100% going to look pitch black. Like that's how my camera rolls, a little bit darker. In person, it's more of a dark brown, and down at the bottom here has more of like a straight on brown. Hold it up to the light, and definitely that looks like root beer, or cola, or Dr. Pepper, some kind of soda pop. In this glass, it has about a finger, just under a finger of a, we call that a mocha colored head. It has sheets, alcohol sheets, not legs, but sheets. They're just like drapes, I would say, just like kind of hanging on to the sides of the glass. So this is definitely almost 14%. But honestly, I'm kind of disappointed. I thought that would look a little bit more thick and viscous and just like straight on pitch black, and it's not. Anyway, let's get a nose. Wow. First couple things I can say about this one. Rich, deep, dark stone fruits, but also there's an umami vibe here. Definitely a slight umami vibe. Ooh, and now as it opens up, that whiskey, the barrel, the vanilla, the oak, has like a peppery, kind of almost rye whiskey. I don't think it's rye whiskey, obviously, but you know, it kind of smells like it. There's a lot of brown sugar, molasses. The first sniff was like, oh, this is kind of different. Now, it's fucking smelling great. Oh, what else is there? There's an underlying like sweeter dark chocolate. A little bit of a roasted malt. Maybe a touch of coffee. The first sniff, I didn't mention it, but I got like a little bit of like leather. Not really getting as much here now. This is super complex in the nose. Holy shit. Like the barrel's there, but it's not overwhelming. It's very well integrated to the beer. The base beer, that is. I like that vanilla and the oak and like the peppery kind of whiskey character. But then you get that dark chocolate, the molasses, the umami, the dark stone fruits, like a cherry. I kind of get lost in honestly, this did a 180 real quick because I poured it out and I'm looking at it like, I think this is going to be thin. It doesn't look that viscous. The color is not right for what I'm looking for. And almost 14% Imperial Stout that's barrel aged. And then I smell it and I'm like, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. Who cares what it looks like? Yeah, this smells awesome. Honestly, this might be the best smelling rogue beer I've ever had, maybe period. Yeah, let's get into it. And cheers, everyone. %100% thin. It's nice though, but this is 100% thin. Damn it. So I was hoping that the pour was a mirage, and like there's times I've poured out beers that like look thinner and not that viscous, and then I drink, I'm like, oh, huh. You know what? Didn't matter. It did matter. The body on this one is like higher side of medium at best. Almost 14%. This drink's like it's 8 or 9 from a body standpoint. That's disappointing. If I'm drinking something that's a sipper, I want it to be viscous. I want it to be thick, especially something in this realm, and it's not. So that's going to knock some points off the score. Paul over at PaTroll, who's a good friend of mine, fellow beer tuber. Yeah, he would think this is like water. The mouthfeel, it's moderately carbonated. It's pretty smooth. I was hoping for a little bit more of like a creaminess and maybe a little more soft, but it's fine. The mouthfeel's fine. The body's disappointing. The taste, pretty nice. Nowhere near as complex as the nose for me. Like, the nose was just phenomenal. The best thing about this beer. The taste, it's dialed back quite a bit. Up front, I'm getting now, I think the one thing that's happening, at least for me on the palate, is more of the base beers coming to the forefront, but like the generic characters you would get from an Imperial Stout. So there is like a sweeter chocolate. There is roasted malt. There's a little bit of coffee, touch of like caramel and toffee as well. The umami I was getting in the nose, the molasses, the dark brown sugar, the dark stone fruits, those are nuanced more so in the taste than they were in the nose. The nose, they were more prominent. I get all those right after the beginning of the palate with the generic malt characters. I wish they were like flipped and that was the more prominent note in the taste. Midway through the palate, the barrel sneaks in, and for me, it's not as much as that peppery kind of whiskey I was getting in the nose. It's more of the actual barrel as opposed to the spirit. So it's vanillins, and it's more oak than vanilla. And what happens is that vanilla carries on to the back of the palate and finishes with this dry oak tannin feeling on the finish. This one doesn't have a lot of bitterness. It's like mildly bitter, but it's very dry from what I perceive are the oak tannins. It could be dry from just the alcohol, the beer itself, the hops, but the dryness to me and how I'm deciphering this is more of the oak tannins than anything. I will say a plus to this one. Doesn't negate the thin body at all, but a plus to this one, it's 13.7. Is it boozy? Yeah, it's fucking almost 14%. I would hope that you would taste some of the booze, but this drink's more like 11, 10 and a half, 11 than it does 13.7, maybe 12. I would stretch to 12, but even so, you're talking about something that's almost 14%. If it drinks 2 or 3% less, that's impressive. So they did a great job hiding the alcohol. I wish the nose translated more on the palate, especially after now knowing that the body is definitely thin. I think the flavors and the intensity and the complexity would have made up for the body, and it just didn't all the way. Is this bad? Not in the least. Is this pretty good? Yeah, it's pretty good, especially when I tell you about the price point too. Like for the price point, it's really good. I will say now, while I got that dry, lingering like oak tannin finish, I am starting to get like a little bit of that molasses, brown sugar kind of sweetness is starting to kind of hit again in the back of the palate. It's kind of weird. But yeah, like it hits maybe a third of the way through the palate, dives underneath, comes back at the end. I think it's making a little bit more balance because this beer is very dry from that oak tannin and a little bit unbalanced, but with what I think is the malt sweetness kind of hitting back on the palate and kind of breaking it up a little bit, it's making it a little bit more drinkable and enjoyable. As I talk here, I do have a warming in the chest, but again, 12% at the most. So there are pros and cons of this one. The cons, obviously, very thin body and that the nose was better than the taste, plus that oak tannin dryness, that could be perceived as a positive or negative depending on who you are. If you like oak tannin dryness or oak tannin flavor in general, then I think you would like the finish of this beer. If you don't, then you're probably like me where you wish there was a little bit, but again, the malt sweetness is kind of hitting again, so it's kind of canceling it out to some degree. The pros to this one, though, like I said, I really enjoy that it's not overly boozy. The flavors here are nice, so I do enjoy this one. I actually enjoy this one a decent amount. But I was hoping for like a home run from Rogue with this one, and it's not a home run. The thinness definitely plays a role in how I'm going to rate this one. So Rolling Thunder, the 2023 release from Rogue, I can do I will go low 4 out of 5, 3.95 out of 5. Almost gets a 4, not quite there. It's a good barrel-aged Imperial Stout, but I was just hoping for a little bit more in general. If the thinness was more of like a viscous, like, medium full body, I think this would jump into the high 4, low 4.25 range. And if the nose carried over, this is easily in like the high 4.25, low 4.5 range, because the nose was amazing, immaculate, fantastic. The taste, not as much. Price point availability, $20 a 4-pack of these 12-ounce slim cans. Nowadays, where people are paying $5 for a 6% hazy IPA, or they're paying $8 for a 5% heavily fruited sour, something that's almost 14% in a 12 fluid ounce can for $5 or less, I think that's a pretty good deal nowadays. Rogue used to have, I'm talking like 8 to 10 to 12 years ago, in my neck of the woods here in Buffalo, New York, they had some crazy high prices. You would see them on the shelf. They'd be on like the West Coast shelf, and you would have California breweries, Oregon breweries, you'd have Washington breweries, and you would see like Lagunitas next to Rogue. And Lagunitas bomber of like an Imperial Stout would be $5, and then you would see theirs and it'd be like $9 or $10. You'd be like, why am I buying that? Lagunitas is just as good, if not better. And over time, their price points has gotten better, especially since they moved to cans. So I think it's pretty good value. And availability, I have no idea with this beer. I know Rogue sees distro into a lot of different states, and I think they're pretty much, a bunch of different countries too. But here in Buffalo, New York, we don't see a lot of their stuff as much anymore, but we definitely saw this one, and I grabbed it. So if you see this one on your shelf and it sounds interesting to you, give it a go. Just keep in mind that the body is definitely thin for something almost 14%, and that the nose is better than the aroma or the taste, but your mileage may vary. Maybe you're of the opinion that this isn't thin and that you think the taste is just fine. So we all have different opinions and palates and tastes and everything. So that's what makes this fun. But if you've had this one before, post in the comment section. Let me know what you thought about with this one. If you've had a prior vintage of this one, let me know as well. I'd be curious to know. I don't know if they change this from year to year, but yeah, maybe they do. Anyway, appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. Until the next one, cheers.